Okay, so that's the session recording now. So I'm going to go on to the first slide. So everybody has a different challenges with reading. Some students aren't sure where exactly to get the reading from, how much to read, how do you know how to cut it all down, what's the point of reading, is it really going to answer your questions, etc., etc. And there's so much to read, and because everything's on the internet and the GCU library is full of thousands and thousands and thousands of different sources, it can sometimes be challenging to know exactly which source to use and how to integrate that into your assignments. And then, you know, well, why do you need to read? So essentially, we gain our academic knowledge through debate with authors. So the authors are the authors of those sources and those books, those periodicals, those e-books that you'll be reading, databases you'll be reading in the library. So you're engaging with the authors. You have an assignment or a report or a dissertation or a case study to complete, and you'll be using other people's knowledge within your field to be able to support what you're saying. So you need to have the skills to join the debate. So essentially you're debating with these authors. So the difference here is, so textbooks give basic understanding, while journal articles give you in-depth coverage and recent developments. So the GCU library, which I'm sure you've all been into, has all the up-to-date information you need, while the textbooks tend to give you the broader outline and the background knowledge to it. The journal articles will give you more detailed knowledge and more specific understanding of a particular area. So lecturers expect you to deepen your understanding through reading. So, and throughout the session, I'll be putting up little questions, because it's interesting to know where the challenges are, what people, students need help with. So have you all looked at your reading lists or used them? I'll just put that reading list. What do you think about your reading list? Is there too much on it? Do you have reading lists? Have you engaged in it? Have you found it easy to find? Is it accessible? Put in the chat. Is it accessible? Have you started using it? You must be probably in the middle of assignments now, with deadlines, I would imagine, due in beginning of December. So put in the chat. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next slide, but while I'm moving on to the next slide, okay, they're accessible. Okay. Yeah, so reading lists are just the basic core requirements, and you can use them, and there's also a lot of extra reading. Good, at least it's accessible. So all reading is available from the GCU library. Now, I'm going to make an assumption here that everybody's using the GCU library. And the reason, okay, but most times can't find some of them. Aha. If you have any queries about not being able to find an article, you could email the subject-specific librarians. If you go into the GCU library or put into the Google GCU library subject librarian, there's a subject-specific librarian for each school. So the School of Engineering, Computing and Built, there's a librarian there, and if you say what you can't find, they'll be able to find it for you and be able to point you in the right direction. So you're getting stuff from the GCU library because everything is a far greater breadth of material there, and also it's free. You don't have to pay for it, whereby if you went to Google Scholar, you'd often have to pay for something. So read widely. You can develop effective strategies to make sure you get the most out of your text and read and approach it with a critical eye, because there's so much reading there and there's so many, it can be very overwhelming. So you want to make sure that you know exactly what you're looking for before you start reading it, and then you can read it actively, not passively. You read something passively, you're just reading, taking it in for the sake of taking it in. So you can't read everything on your subject area on your reading list, so you have to be specific. Now I'm going to click on this. If I click on it from here, you won't be able to get it. So I will put it in the chat. It's a helpful guide from Reading University to provide lots of really useful guides. So when you've got the structure, when you've got your piece of writing, say it's an article or a journal article or a book page or something, and you're looking for something. The main thing is, before you start reading, So presumably you're reading because you have a piece of coursework to complete. That coursework may have a statement, it may be in 3 parts, it may be a long question. So essentially you are looking for something, you're looking for information. So at the back of your head or in the front of your head, you need to know exactly what you're looking for. You need to know whether it's going to be comparing something or policies on something or the background to something. So on a piece of paper, you should have noted down exactly what you're looking for. So that's the key thing. So you're the judge, so you can judge exactly what you're looking for. So then you can skim over the information for specific bits. You can scan it to get the general gist. You pick out the topic sentences. Can anybody tell me where you find a topic sentence? Say you have a paragraph. Where can you find a topic sentence? Yeah, good. The first line. So the topic sentence is the key sentence. It's something that I think without knowing that, it's really easy just to read for the sake of reading. So you're not actually taking the information in. But if you know that the topic sentence is like the window to the paragraph, the topic sentence will contain the most important piece of information about what's gonna happen in that paragraph. You can identify the signposting words, take cues from the punctuation. For example, if it's a colon, hold on a second. If it is a colon, you know that you'll be expecting a list to come next. Yeah, and don't read too slowly. Because if you read too slow, you lose concentration. So the first thing that you're doing, you're getting your article or something, and you're speeding right through it just to find out whether actually you want that piece of text or not. Change the pace. You can vary the pace of your reading, and sometimes you only need to pick out the main points, while other times you have to check meanings and explanations. There's a spelling mistake there more carefully. Don't forget to make a note of all the authors you are referring to. So how many people use RefWorks? Or that should be RefWorks. How many people use RefWorks within the GCU library? Put your hand up. Somebody's put their hand up. I don't know if they meant to. Okay. Okay. And do you find it? I've used it. Somebody's used it. Okay. RefWorks is, for those of you who haven't embarked on it, I've already run a session, I think it was last week, on referencing and citations. RefWorks is a referencing tool which you log into, use at GCU library, and it's used within the library databases, and it is used to generate references from the sources that you've read. So rather than getting an article from somewhere else, you can put it through RefWorks and it'll automatically generate the reference for you. It saves you so much time. It also means it's done correctly. So that's another good reason for using GCU library. So it is very easy to read passively. And you've probably, you will have all heard of or be assimilating critical thinking and then wondering exactly what critical thinking is. So when you're asked to find something out from the library, you're asked to use your reading lists, and you're to use it critically. So basically you're doing all these things. You're conceptualizing, applying, analyzing, finding out actually what it means, synthesizing, putting it all together, and evaluating information gathered from your sources. So the sources you have from other authors within your field, you are looking at those sources and you're seeing whether they are actually going to be any good for you or not. And they've got to add to the discussion. So you can look for specialized academic books, and then if you're looking for books, you can use the chapter headings. So when you're in the GCU library, when you're online and you look at a book there, and you can bring the book up and you can You can look at the chapter headings, you can go through the headings and decide which ones are relevant for you. So I'm going to ask you something else here. When you're on the GCSE, when you're using the GCSE library, or you're searching for material, what do you find most tricky or challenging? So put it in the chat. If you're looking for something, you've got your piece of coursework there, and then you have to go off and research. What do you find the most challenging thing? It can be anything from keywords or most applicable. What do you find most challenging? Yes. Aha. The main keywords to use for the search. Okay. So I think you're quite right. Narrowing down the topic. Yes, that's it. So Phyllis, put in a topic or put in a subject area you want to look for in the library, and we'll see if we can narrow it down. I think the main thing is you have to go from broad right down to very specific. So Phyllis, put in an area you want to research, you want to look for in the library. Flooding and sustainable urban planning. Okay, so that is quite a long. That's quite a long phrase. So one of the things you could put down would be urban planning, and then quite often you can look for synonyms. You could say something like, well, flooding's weather. So you could say weather, urban planning, or weather challenges, or impact of. So think of all the titles. So you might be as well to go through other article titles, other book titles, and see what kind of wording they do there. And also remember to get your spelling correct. Sometimes when you go into the library, you have to make sure, and it won't find it if the spelling's incorrect. And then just be as narrow as possible. So presumably when you go down to the GCU library, you look at the filters on the right hand side and look at the filters, and you can filter on what type of source you want and the dates on it. And then remember, if it's UK wide, whether it's global, you can put that in as well. Technical comparison of modern methods of construction. Okay, so I'm going to call you Emmanuel because I can't pronounce your other names. Methods of construction of what? Building construction, boat construction, spaceships, and in which country? Okay, building construction. So, you could put that in then. So make sure, and when you put in something, when you put in the search terms, you don't have to put in the full phrase. It'll pick out key terms. You could say, you could put in construction, building construction, UK comparison. You don't have to put in technical comparison. So something like building construction or UK building construction comparison. You can also go down to the databases. As databases will have lots of information about specific types of specific sources which are relevant to that particular area, rather than going a lot wider. So play around with key terms and see what they come up with. Use synonyms. Use the country, because if you put in building construction, what it's doing is it's pulling up building construction globally. So it's like when you're writing a dissertation, you have to be as specific as possible. So journal articles, most of research reports use databases to find them. Official reports collect data, analyze problems and the solutions, and then you've got your databases. So within the GCU library, you've got your various databases, and again, Miriam will be able to help you with that. Okay, so critical reading is the bit that we're coming to next. So when you're looking at something, so you put your modern methods of construction UK, building construction UK, you've decided that you want it from specific journals in the last, say, 5 years. You go and you filter down to the right hand side, it then brings you up a lot of journals. You then have to decide exactly what you're looking for. If you're looking at comparisons, then you would put in comparison or types. So types might be another keyword that you put in. Then you will look at, then you will bring your article up, you'll bring your report up, and then you will then have a very quick look through it, and we'll go on to strategies for finding information up next. So you have to find out exactly what you're looking for, because it's very easy just to look up loads of things. So what claims is the text making? Is the text making claims about different types of construction, about poor construction? Are the claims backed up by evidence? Is it report? So has there been a study carried out? Or is it peer reviewed? Are there any deviations between this and other texts? So if you quite like that text, you can save it in RefWorks and you can go back and get another one. What reasons are given for these claims? Is it very modern? Is it in the last couple of years? So after you've looked through some of them, you can find out exactly if it's giving you the depth that you require for what you're doing. So this is just a little bit of a continuation of that. It says it's not passive. You evaluate what you have just read. And when I finish this, I think I'll bring up an article. What position is the writer presenting? What tells you this? And then I think we go into authors' voices. What evidence supports the position? So what's the writer saying? Is it just a piece of research he's carried out on the basis of other authors, or is it something he's presenting through a study that he's carried out? Is the evidence accurate? You would hope so. What are the evidence collection methods? How is this evidence being collected? So usually there's a bit, if there's a report or a case study, there's a study being carried out. How's the author collected the methods there? Is it interviews, or is it it's an evaluation of sites? Are the claims justifiable? How do they compare to other readers in the field? Spelling mistake. And do you agree with the position? So that, remember, when you're doing your writing, you are getting other authors' positions, and you are incorporating that within your work, within your writing, and then you are identifying whether the position supports a position you're making, or whether it's just an example of something, or whether it's disputing what you've said. So this is, I mean, when you're using the GCU library, you can identify who wrote this. The author's place of work is often mentioned right at the very top of it. If you just use Google and you find the websites can often disappear, and one of the reasons for not really using Google is that the data is often unreliable. So if you look at this, this is the 4S system of academic reading. So you're searching through it all. So you've got your report, you've got your article there, and you're searching through it, so you identify the purpose and the audience. Skimming, you get the main points, the introduction and conclusion to establish position, and I'll bring up an article and use the topic sentences to identify the argument. So you use the topic there. Now you need to select it, so you read it carefully and efficiently, so you're looking for specific words. So if you use Control, hold on, I'll put this in the chat. You may already know how to use this. I mean, I use this quite a lot. You've got an article there and you're looking for a specific word like technical comparison. So you would go to the article, and if you put Control F, it brings up the bar there, and then you can search for specific words, and then it highlights it. So that's also another really good method. So skimming is the process, and after I've done this, I'll go into the database, into the library, and I'll see if I can find something about that terminology that you put up there. So skimming is a process of speed reading. We get the general overview. That's what most people do first of all. So you read the introduction, the conclusion, headings, beginning and endings of paragraphs, focus on details rather than more details. And by doing this, you'll identify the most important, which can be read again and again and again. So it's usually little details which you use there to support a specific piece of information. Scanning, again, if you use Control F, scanning is a really good way of looking for specific information. It can be used for countries or study names or dates or anything to do with weather or specific data. So you've now found information while skimming the text, and I've now decided to go back and read it in more detail. And then you can let your eyes run over the text before you decide what you're gonna do next. And this is the structure of the text. So I've talked about this before in other articles, in other workshops. So that's where your text will normally be broken down into the body of any text you're reading will have a topic sentence, and then it'll have a concluding sentence. This is, of all the things you're doing in the text, now I think I will, now if I disappear out of this, I'll be back in a minute. I will post up a Padlet, the link to a Padlet. Padlet is an interactive storyboard. And in the storyboard, there are examples of what I'm talking about. Okay, that's it back. So if you want to click on that Padlet there, and if you want to go to, so can everybody access it? So put in the chat whether you can access it or not. You should be able to. I've undone the privacy settings. Can you access the Padlet? Put yes in the chat or no if you can't access it. You should be able to. Good, good. So go to the first one, which is called go to the column academic articles and then go to the first one. I just want to try and demonstrate a little bit of what I'm talking about. So for example, I went to the GCU library and I searched for something and I found it. So you're looking for something, you're doing environmental management. So I would have, when I went into the search, I would have typed in UK. So if you look at that article there, Evolutionary Pathways Environmental Management in UK Companies, the abstract is one of the best ways of looking to find out exactly what you're looking to find out. So rather than just reading through articles environmental management, you need to have a specific question. Now I don't know what the question is, but you would have a question. Read through the abstract, then you read through the introduction, and then you can read right down. And so if you go right down to the different paragraphs, you can see all the different paragraphs and the topic sentence, which is in the top of them, the first part of the sentence. And then you would go right down, and I think it is on page 177. You can see comments on the study that's been carried out. Now, if you scroll right up to the top again, and you go to introduction, which is page 169. You go into the introduction, and then you will see there at the end of the first sentence begins in recent years, and you will see at the end of that sentence, and I've covered this before in another session, you will see the names of the authors. Okay, so the writer of this article will have used those authors to promote their work or to introduce their work. And they're called the voices in the academic text. So when you're doing your reading, you're wanting to find out what kind of tone you're wanting to find. Are you just looking for a bit of description to back up what you're saying? You're looking for somebody who's complimenting what you're saying? Are you looking for somebody who's disagreeing with it? So when you do that, you look for the author's voices and the way it's been reported. So it says there, when you discuss issues, you put forward your ideas using your own voice. So you're the writer, so it's your voice. So you refer to other ideas using their voice, and the other voices are called the sources. So the sources there are the names of those authors after the first line there. And then look at how the voices are used in the text. You have the direct voice and the indirect voice. So just go back to that article then. So because it's fairly technical, the voices are just the information that's been put forward with the citation of the author beside it. So if you go down to the end of page 170, if you look at the bottom, the paragraph that started antecedents of environmental management, and look at the bottom paragraph. The bottom paragraph says it should be noted that these factors cannot be expected. Okay, so the paragraph that ends there, it should be noted, is that being written in the writer's voice or the author's voice? Put it in the chat. Is that the writer's voice who's written the article, or is that the voice of the author, i.e. the secondary source? Is that the writer or the author? Yes, correct. It's the writer. Good. It's the writer. So it's actually really important to know that. So the writer there, if you look back at the source, the writer there has made up, this is the conclusion the writer has arrived at. And the conclusion has been arrived at by collating, yes, good, collating all the information from all the different authors. So let's have another little look. Yes, we conclude the writer, good. So if you go down to the next, let's find a decent paragraph. Go down to the next paragraph, still on page 170, and it begins maturity stages. And it says, maturity models may be seen both as assessment as part of a framework for the improvement, Dooley et al. 2001. Is that the writer or is that the author that's saying that? Is that the writer or is that the author? Yes, good. Good. So that's the author. So it's actually really, so if you're, that shows the importance of active reading. If you're reading passively, what you're doing is you're just reading blah, 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 reading through the text, not really noticing who's saying it. So by being able to differentiate between the writers and the authors, you can see how authors are contributing to the writing altogether. So you've read all this kind of stuff. Okay, you have to make notes on it. So put in the chat, how many people make notes on paper? Do you make it on paper, or do you do digital notes? You do it online, or do you do voice recordings, which is something to be considered? Do you do it paper, digital, or voice, or pictorial, anything? How do you make your notes? Okay, digital notes. So you type it out on screen, on paper, taking notes. Yeah, digital and paper. Yeah, I think I would probably, yeah. Okay, Mendeley, good. I take paper notes, but then I write too many bits of paper. That's the trouble. Paper note taking is great if you have a system. And digital's great as long as you've got a good filing system for it. So, and I think, as I said at the very beginning, it's really important to determine exactly the purpose of your note taking. What exactly are you looking for? Are you just looking for technical comparison building construction? I mean, what exactly? What type are you looking for? A comparison between different building construction, what? Companies, methods, materials? You know, they're all different. In which country? Globally or just in the UK? And in the last decade, or in the last 5 years, or the last 20 years. So narrow it down as much as possible. Then you decide, spelling there, on the most appropriate note-taking style. Are you going to do it in mind maps, in bullet points? Are you going to highlight it? Are you going to do it in spider webs? Scan the section to be read, establish the purpose, i.e. exactly what you're looking for. Work out their take and how it relates to your work. The take being the author's point of view. Jot down the ideas arising, ensure you paraphrase in your own words, and note the source of the data. So if you use RefWorks, you'll be able to save that within the RefWorks. So most people, well, I should think virtually everybody, will be reading the resources online, and usually without blinking, so you can get sore eyes. So web-based is often divided into screen-sized chunks, so it's difficult to get a picture. So when you're reading on web reading, it's divided into chunks and there's no continuity. So sometimes it can be difficult to get an overall picture of exactly what you're reading. Beware if something's got too many bullet points. So it can be tempting to read something with bullet points because you think that that's all you need. But bullet points can quite often give you the overview and not so much detail. Beware of bias towards material which is very easily accessible. So it's very easy when you're looking through the library to get an article and think, oh yeah, those articles look fine. I'll just take that one because you have, it's the first one that's come up or it's the most read one. So don't be afraid to put in lots of different types of search terms within it, and then you could go down and maybe go down to, you know, onto the 20th page to see if there's any other materials. And particularly if you're using something, if you would ever forbid use Google, there might be the sources might be paid to come up there, SEO work. The skimming method, as I said before, can be accelerated using Control F, which I think is great. Make sure your eyes are positioned at midpoint of the screen. So mine isn't at the moment, and it is now. So I normally have mine on a stand or a pile of books. And then you might need glasses. So I didn't have glasses a couple of years ago, and now I do. So this is also, yeah. So we're all working off 365. So use it to customize your display. So change the background colors and alter spacing between letters and lines. So it's worth, so you'll be doing a lot of reading. So make yourself as comfortable as possible. Immersive Reader will also read the text out loud and change the playback speed. And you can also dictate it. So that's, I use that sometimes. So you're reading something, want to get the main points off it, and then you can dictate it. Reduce distractions going on around you. Reduce eye strain by increasing the font to size 12 and by narrowing the window. Poor lighting. Use a lamp that shines directly onto the text because otherwise you'll get eye strain. So how many of you use the library as opposed to home studying? Do you tend to use the library or do you go back to your homes or your flats? Do you use the library or do you go back to your flats? Put in the chat where do you find the best place? Okay, both. Okay. Yeah, because the library, yeah, good. The library is great because it's warm. You can get coffee there. There's other people there. All the resources you need. The librarians are there if you ever can't find anything, and you can go, okay, flat, and then you can go from the bottom floor right up to the top floor. And I'm there tomorrow between 12 and 4. Any student who requires software to assist with academic reading should contact the disability team. So there's the email address. If anybody has any kind of reading difficulties or colour blindness or anything else, contact the disability team and they'll be able to help you. So the most commonly used software to assist with academic reading and writing at GCU is Read and Write Gold. So that all staff and students can have access to it. Okay, so I'm going to finish out of that, and then I'm going to bring up. Okay, you should be able to see that then. So I'm just going to give you now, this will only let me go through to a certain distance, to a certain level. When it requires my own login, it won't continue after that. So I will look at something building construction UK. Okay, you see that there. So I typed in, hold on, there's a message come up. Okay, I typed in building construction UK differences. So that's just one of the things I typed in. I could then type in, so you look there, so the first article has come up, so it's all UK. However, you've got an article, you've got a book, article. If you scroll right down there, then you can see that one is 2008, where it says real life energy. So you probably know this already, but I just want the articles. I also want it from 2020. Then I look at that first one there, ventilation rates in naturally ventilated primary schools in the UK. I'm not sure if I want that one. Energy performance gap, the influence of acclimatisation, age and gender differences, evaluation of school refurbishment projects, ability of electrified domestic heating, etc., etc., etc. So you would go into that and you would look at that first one there. And then you go onto that to click on the link. Now, I'm just going to show you this because I don't know whether it won't continue. If you want to automatically reference, if you want to use that article and you want to use RefWorks, hold on, I'll just go back a second. That first article, for example, I'll just go back to the first one, ventilation rates in naturally vented primary schools in the UK. If I'd read that article and I wanted to use it. If I wanted to automatically create the reference for it, and I've used it within my coursework, and I want to add the reference at the end, I'd use RefWorks. For some reason, you have to sign in. I'd have to sign in and get it. But if you wanted to use RefWorks, you click on those three dots there, and it would bring up RefWorks. I would go into, alternatively, I can do it for that way. You go into the article and then you click on RefWorks. But a lot of people already know how to do that. But that's one of the ways of being able to get the reference properly. So you have this. So make sure that when you are finding any information that you want, that you are really, really, really specific in what you want. So does somebody else want to give me something to look for? Does somebody else want to give me an area to look for that they're not quite sure the best way to look for it? So you might want to, there's no good just giving a general topic. Have you got a question that you're looking for? If you have, put it into the chat. Artificial intelligence in mobile forensics. Now, is this globally? So hold on, I'll go back to the mobile forensics one. But see the referencing style, when you go into RefWorks, it'll give you a choice of which referencing style, okay? So if you go into RefWorks, so you find your article and you go into RefWorks, and then it gives a drop down, and then it will ask you which type of referencing style you want. So IEEE will be one of them. It's probably GCU Harvard, or Cite Them Right GCU Harvard, which comes first. Hold on, I'm going to go back to the mobile forensics one. So, I'm going to type in UK. No, I don't think so. So you would have to put in okay. So who is it that put that in? Okay, so James, is that the kind of stuff? What are you looking for? Is that the kind of stuff that you're looking for? Or would you take mobile out? Does that refer to mobile phone or mobile as in movable? Okay, globally. Does that, so when you say mobile forensic, what most, yes, okay. Mobile phone forensics. I would say worldwide. Article text in mobile phone forensics. Okay, then you would look at that and then you would go back down. So if I scroll back down a little bit more, you probably wouldn't want books. You might want, so if you look down there, there's only 33 articles. Okay, so let me go back to your question. Yes, and then sometimes you want to go back and you'd put in the keyword behind artificial. So you could say comparison of, or investigation into, or study into. So get your phrase, write it down, and then change the words around, and then see which comes up. And then you don't have to put the small words in. So you just yeah. So get the words, get the phrase, get the words, and just change them around. You can also go onto Google and see which other things come up, and then don't find it through Google, but look at different kind of word terms. So methods of reducing construction waste in Africa. Okay, let's go back to this construction waste Africa. There you have this. If you look at that construction waste Africa, I have got 1,000 articles. And I want to take back to 2015. Let's go back to what you were saying. Methods of reducing construction waste. Construction waste Africa reduction. And then you go again back to article. So you would look through that. You would basically play around, like I said to James, I think it was. If you just get your phrase, what you're looking for, and play it around with the words and narrow it down as much as possible. You might have a specific African country, or you might not want an article, you might want a book to give you some of the background information. So books are great for background information. And then as you're wanting more up-to-date information to put forward your research or your viewpoints or where everything is got from, now that's when you use your articles. But the library is great, but it takes a little while to navigate it and to get your own. How can I research the books online from the GCU library? Right. Okay. I will go back. In fact, I'll quit out of. No, I'll go right back. I will find it again. So basically, you go to the GCU library. I now share my screen. Use of virtual reality management of health, safety, and environment. Okay, hold on a second. Okay, so this is the GCU library. So go type in GCU library. So go in this. You'll need your student login. Go to the library. Go down there. Search Discover. So Discover is the main toolbar where you type in anything that you're looking for. So if you hold on a second, I will go back to this, and I will copy and paste that. Virtual reality in management of health and safety. In management of safety, health and environment. It would normally be health and safety. Safety. Let's see what that brings up. Brought up one article. So I think you would probably, if it only brings up if it only brings up one thing, either you need to reduce the search terms. That's use of virtual reality in health and safety. That's given you 4 articles. I think you need to think again, if you're saying virtual reality and management of health and safety, what? Do you see what I mean? So you're saying virtual reality and the management of health and safety, what? Promotional videos and further programs, applications. So I think what you when you get a topic like that, when you get a phrase of that, you need to ask yourself exactly what you're looking for. In the management of health, safety, environment, what? You see what I mean? Is it promotions? Is it health and safety aspects? Is it used to attract? So find out exactly what you're looking for, and then again play around with it. So, for example, you could say virtual reality in health and safety campaigns. Bring you one. So there again, so you're just going to have to go through and find out exactly what you're looking for. Find out exactly what environment is and narrow it down as much as possible. Okay. Does anybody have any more questions about this? And has this aided you now that you're halfway through the semester? Week 6, I think it is. If anybody, like I said before, like I said at the beginning, if you've got any more questions or you're around the campus between 12 and 4, I'll be there. So I'll be with my laptop and I'll be able to aid in searching for information. Good, yeah. So quite often, key terms, you just have to play around with them. And in the back of your head, you've got your question, and then you put it down. And you want to use this information you've got out there is answering your question. Okay, so I'm going to stop the recording now.